Hey everybody, welcome to the Vizela Xweather Developer Q&A. We're in the spring of 2025, kicking off a severe season here in the United States. And with that, we wanted to talk about asset protection. Weather, of course, being a big component in protecting assets, whether those are retail, otherwise moving assets, but most importantly, people. We have a ton of solutions to help keep all of those folks safe. So we're here to chat about them today and then answer any questions you might have about those. So we are your AI presenters. These are the fun images we had ChatGPT create. Lee came up with this. It was pretty fun. Ask ChatGPT, right, to create an image based on your previous conversations. Lee's is wonderfully correct, as you can see here.
I'm going to the gym right after this.
Yeah, he's got his shaker bottle like right here, ready to rock. But yeah, lots of fun. So we had fun with this. I'm Seth Miller. I head up our back-end team. And then next to me at the end of the table is Holly Dunn. She's rocking the chat and making sure everything's running over there.
Thank you. Yeah, they did a great job on my dog.
And then Kasha's running the board for us. Hi, Kasha.
Hi, Kasha.
Hey, Kasha.
All right, so jumping in, agenda. Yeah, so asset protection, we'll give an overview kind of what that means to us and what all of these impacts and weather apply to. And then we'll jump into some of our new products. We have Hail Threats and Hail Archive and a lot of what we do to actually validate that data. Those are pretty exciting new products. Hard problems that we had to solve there. But useful, we hope, to everyone. And then Xweather Live overview. That's a really cool new interface that anyone can go out and play with. It's using Maps.gl, our Maps UI SDK, Impacts endpoint, and then our Phrases API as well. So that's kind of a fun all-in-one demo that Lee will go through with us. Then he's got a Phrases API deep dive, a couple other demos we can show off real quick, and then we'll give kind of a summary of all the endpoints and things that you could use to help with your asset protection. And then, of course, this being a Q&A, your questions at the end. So please, as we're going through, feel free to toss those in the chat. Like I said, Holly's in on the window over there, keeping an eye on things. Yeah, and we can dive in. So
real quick, let's chat about that globe, though.
Oh, yeah, the globe. That's right. The globe was at CES. That was a really cool LED sphere that we had. Super fun to visualize the whole world at once. We use Maps.gl on the display. But it was great to show off asset protection. There were wildfires going on in California. A lot of people concerned with that, and we were able to show them the boundaries of the wildfires and things that were going on there. So yeah, it was a really fun display. Great to talk to customers, learn about their use cases and different things that they were interested in. So yeah, CES was a lot of fun. If you're there next year, we're planning on being there next year. Come by and say hi. So what is asset protection, Lee?
Yeah, that's a good question. What does asset protection mean to us? I like the way you said that earlier. To us with asset protection, we want to enable you to be able to protect your people and your property and your operations. So think about people. These are going to be the workers or the drivers that are actually out there on the field for you. They could be those maintenance workers up in the wind turbines, as you're doing that installation or doing maintenance. Or it could be a construction site where you have workers on the site itself, or maybe in a crane if you're going to be operating that crane there. So again, and then on the property, those solar farms, you're going to have to think about high winds. You're going to have to think about hail, which we're going to be talking about shortly. So all of those are very useful. And then operations, we could actually have the transportation logistics. You're going to have those drivers out on the roads, and we need to make those decisions for them to protect them and the assets.
And they're out there moving around too, which provides other challenges. So there's lots of things that change, especially when you're driving into a storm, right? Things happen a lot quicker.
So again, protecting people, property, and operations. You can't really say that enough, but the one good thing here is that Vizela Xweather, our API and maps, we do have a solution that can help you at every stage of that life cycle. So if we think about prospecting and planning, this is when you're trying to find that site that you're either going to be doing construction on, or maybe installation, a wind farm or a solar farm. And you got to think about that long-term risk to that infrastructure. Installation and preparation. Let's just think about now we're doing that construction. We're going to have those workers on site that we need to protect. We're going to have that equipment installation. We're going to have those cranes on site. So we need to think about those operations. The monitoring and operations as well. So again, now we have that we're constructed, we're actually live. So we just got to monitor the systems to ensure that we're efficient, but then also that, safety, we still have to protect. And then real-time decision making. So think about your drivers and transportation logistics again. You're going to be out there on the road. As Seth mentioned, they're mobile. They're going to be driving into these areas. So are they driving into an area with high winds? Are they driving into an area that has slick conditions? So we have to think about that. And then post-event analysis. This is where you're really getting into like, hey, that damage assessment. Do we have an insurance claim? So we do provide a suite of archive products that can assist you with there as well. Thinking about renewable energy as one of those industries. Again, we see that same life cycle, but with the asset protection that we're talking about today, we're going to just concentrate on those two in the middle. Installation and asset protection, again, while we're installing a solar farm, while we're installing those wind turbines for a wind farm. Likewise, again, when that's installation is complete and we're generating electricity, we have to think about wind speeds and solar radiance to ensure that we're efficient. But then we also have to think about, what are the impacts to the grid as well. We have to think about lightning. We have to think about health threats and protecting those assets. And, just going back to logistics and supply chain, think about transportation. Looking at the center portion here with those three, usually a day ahead, we're looking at that route planning and optimization. Where are the drivers? What route are they going to take? So with that, we're going to be utilizing our road weather information and our conditions endpoints. It's going to be able to provide you, what's occurring right now, but then also what's going to be occurring in the future on those roads over the next 24 hours. And then now was the day that the vehicles are in transit. So we're looking at storm track. Again, are we moving into an area of high wind because we don't want a rollover event? Are we moving into an area with hail? And then we're going to have that real-time decision making. And that could be in your operations center, or it could be information that's supplied to your driver to allow him to make that decision himself. Does he need to pull over? Does he need to take a break to allow some weather to go by? So with our data sets, you can provide those, you can resolve that. And so now we're actually going to talk about one of our new data endpoints, and that's our health threats that Steph's going to chat about.
I was so excited to talk about it. I jumped the slide early.
Hell
Sorry.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh my goodness. Hail threats, right? Telling an impactful future I put on here, but it's hard, right? Knowing when hail is going to come down is really tricky. It's one of the really tough parts in weather of, what is the precip coming down? Is it enough? Is it still hail coming down? So that's where we dove in and we said, well, we want to predict areas of severe hail. We want to make sure that it's not just noise from maybe little small pieces of hail that aren't really too significant to users, but where severe hail is actually falling, and we can give them enough time to actually act on that information.
Hey, Seth,
Yes.
what is severe hail?
Oh, good question. So severe hail, we use the National Weather Service definition of an inch or larger. And that's what they've decided has enough mass and velocity, enough impact to actually cause damage. So a lot of engineering specs are to severe hail. Different solar panels are actually engineered to survive hail at different levels, but severe hail at that 1 inch mark is kind of the target of where they start to get damage. So as we look to give enough lead time to act, is that moving assets? So I mentioned solar panels, those can actually tip and stow depending on the types of solar panels you have, but otherwise to seek shelter as well. So if you have, people milling about or out in a park or whatever, you're putting on an event, we want to give a big enough heads up to actually seek shelter. So we'll give a 90-minute nowcast of hail. And those look like kind of severe storm cones. We'll look at those later, but it's actually out in the future. We think this is coming your way. And then with that, it'll give an estimated max size of hail and then the probability of the severe event. And that's available for the US, Canada, EU, Japan, and Australia.
And is that 90-minute nowcast that we're talking about, it's going to be in 10-minute intervals as well. So you can determine will that hail most likely fall in 20 minutes or in 30 minutes or potentially even 40 minutes.
And then they're delivered as geometries, like Lee said. So with those different time intervals, making up sort of a threat cone. And this is a kind of fun image that Justin put together that was over the March 14th, I think, hail event just this past week. A lot of severe hail going on through the central US there. Yeah, hail's a big deal and it happens a lot. But having those cones be vector data makes it actually really useful for asset protection because you can query our API with like a point to see if it's getting intersected by that lat long or by that cone. Otherwise, we can deliver that cone to you via webhooks. So that's something where it's really easy to just do like a geospatial match on your side as well. So it really just depends on your use case and what you're doing there. And then our threat validation, we can play this little image, is kind of cool. This was an engineering sample, so we can see the hail threat zones as they're popping up. This storm was actually tricky because it was going kind of northeast. And then as it rotates down to the southeast, that was a solar farm down there. And I'm going to restart it real quick too. So that was a solar farm down there. And these are actually storm reports. So storm reports are one of the things we use to validate our hail threats, news sources. And then we're working with other industry partners to actually do insurance claims as well, which is kind of interesting. So there's a lot of information and data that's flowing into our system that's actually determining and helping us validate these hail threat zones. But what was really cool here that I want to point out is we were able to give this solar farm a 29-minute heads up that there was hail coming. And that's enough for them to be able to rotate their solar panels. We use these in a simulation. This was a solar farm that got hit pretty hard. And we did not have this product out at that time. They weren't using us, but in the future, we hope that that's something that we can protect against. So jumping back to our slides here, Hail Archive is another one. Confidence in what happened where. This is that post-analysis use case. We try to provide rapid access to what happened for a given point. So if you have an asset that you're concerned about or that you're insuring, whatever, you could query that point, and we have hourly information back to 2024 in the US and Canada about what happened and the probability of severe hail there.
Yeah, this is a big deal. People have been asking for that for a long time.
Yeah, we're really
Super
excited about that
exciting.
one. So we have the kind of now and future use case and the archive use case covered. But now impacts, that's another one. This is I call it the do it for me endpoint. This was one we came up with because we have over 50 endpoints in the Xweather data API now. And it can be daunting. So we talked about like, you could use all of these different endpoints to do all these different things. Impacts is the one that really brings this all together for you. So there are weather experts that we have on our staff, meteorologists, that help select the data points and give users a complete picture of what's happening. So there's no more guessing and worrying about, did I miss this endpoint? Is this, something that I should include when I'm trying to protect my asset? And what it does is it distills information down and outputs only what's relevant and what's really affecting that activity. So it removes the noise. And really here, what we can show off is it's bringing in weather indicators or weather data. So it's bringing in that information. And then it's feeding into a risk engine that we have where we've determined different criteria for how that's going to affect an activity. So it's bringing together multiple endpoints and trying to figure out, is this really a threat? And does it affect, like I said, specifically that activity? So a user that is outside may be more affected by temperature than say like a truck that's driving along. So the truck that's driving along, right, they're climate controlled cab, but wind, might affect that more for rollover, that kind of thing. So we've distilled these down to really affect those specific activities, but we can add more to more activities as well as we go. We have a preset list. But if you have more examples, we can go there. So demo time.
All right.
Ready?
Yeah.
Button.
All right. So we're going to start here with a demo of Xweather Live. We launched this at CES, as Seth mentioned, and we had it there on the globe. Right now, we're just looking at information for Minneapolis area. Not a lot going on. So we're going to move over to Seattle because I think they have some weather going on today.
The hardest part
Weather
about
is
weather
happening.
demos is making sure you find severe
Yeah.
weather when it's going on.
Finding the
Inevitably,
place where the weather
I
weathers.
know, right?
inevitably when we demo, it's like, it's a clear day.
All right. So looking at severe Seattle area here, we can see this in Maps.gl. We can see those wind vectors. We can see the temperature information. And then over here on the left-hand side, it'll come up with an info panel that's going to provide that weather information for you. We did chat about the impacts endpoint. So one of the things that you're seeing here is the impacts endpoint data displayed in a gridded there for you. What is the probability of severe storms, and what is the potential, for air quality risk as well? And then below that, you'll see the phrases here. And this is the phrases endpoint supplying that information based on those impacts and a natural language user-friendly format. So when we're talking about Maps.gl too, one of the things I want to highlight is that it does utilize our APIs, our maps, but then also our SDKs that we provide you to ease that integration of our services. And some of the features that is included, if I come in and click the gear on the right, I have the settings icon, I can come in and do things like, change the color ramp on the fly. So this really allows you to develop a color ramp that fits your brand versus using our default color ramps. Alternatively, maybe you want to show the temperatures at every 5-degree intervals. You have that capability with Maps.gl as well.
Yeah, it kind of depends on your, whatever your operating handbook is, right? Maybe you take different actions at different thresholds. Maps.gl allows you to kind of set those thresholds as well, so you can create displays that match what you're trying to do and what's in your playbook for different events.
Right. And then additionally, you might have a specific use case, thinking about agriculture, you need to protect, some of your, different crops and things like that, because different temperatures are going to affect them. So with a visual aspect, you can come in and adjust the temperature. So if I just want to look at temperatures, below 45 degrees, I can plot those here and be able to visualize those in near real time. So again, that's just a built-in capability with Maps.gl. Okay. And then one other item I want to show here is that if we come in and just choose the severe focus, what that's going to do is just come in and just show a different aspect of the view. So we're thinking severe weather now. So if I were to zoom out, I can quickly come in, see radar, see all the alerts across the US and other locations within the world. We do offer lightning. There's not a lot going on at the moment, but we can come in and click down here and see lightning information right there. And again, you'll see those impacts come into the system based on that lightning risk. And we can sort of see there's been approximately 5 lightning strikes reported in the past 5 minutes near that location.
Hey, we actually got a question come in from Lou. Is there a maximum supported character count for the natural language summaries?
Yes, we do have the ability for you to allow those to be longer or shorter. So it's a somewhat custom. We do not set, hey, it can only be 100 characters, but we kind of like short, long, or longer.
Got it. Awesome.
Yeah, we don't want to blow up your display or fill up your whole application on somebody's phone. We want to give that quick summary that says, hey, this is what's going on without making them read a novel.
Awesome. Yeah. And then we got one more question actually from Adam. How accurate is the weather information for areas outside cities or towns?
That's a good question. So that's going to be very dependent on, our forecast information that we have. So with our forecast, we're combining a lot of information from global models to regional data sets. Those could be public models, internal models. Then we'll pull in regional models, which are going to be a much higher resolution. You might be looking at 1 or 2 kilometers. And then we, even pull in higher resolution data and, information. We might run a super high resolution information like over mountainous areas where the terrain changes. And then we can combine that with nearby conditions to help influence that forecast output over the next few hours as well. So we can be fairly accurate even outside of the major population areas.
And we use data sources with remote sensing capabilities too. So like a radar station senses out, many miles, as well as satellite data feeds that we get as well. So yeah, even if we're far away from, maybe a traditional weather sensor, we can be pretty accurate.
Right.
Sweet.
And this is another demo that everyone can go to, just demos.xweather.com. We would just wanted to highlight here that you can check out, some of the different use cases that we've been talking about, energy and utility facilities. And here, I'm just going to go back up toward that Seattle area and select one of these facilities. And again, this is just using our SDKs that we provide. But you can sort of see we're able to provide, hey, if this was looking at a client that's concerned about HVAC and heating and cooling, we do provide those heating degree days and cooling degree days information. But then we can quickly access that impact information at that location as well. And you can sort of see here it's providing a shorter impact summary than some of the previous others. All right, and next demo. We are.
Browser crash made you reopen everything. While you're
back to
pulling
us and
that
we
up,
can-
we actually got another question from David. Do you have the ability to look back in time to show weather data activity at a given location? And David, let me know if you mean physically looking at it on a map or the actual data here.
Yeah, we can do both.
We can
so
do
that's
both.
kind of cool. Yeah. So the mapping is at probably a little shorter. So that's usually back like a week, but it depends on the data set. Our raster maps product with radar goes back 30 days. But as far as like actual archive weather data, yeah, we have data back to like 2010. Yeah, even before 2011. Yeah, so we have data back quite far. And our lightning data can go back further than that. It does depend on the data set, but yeah, we have a full archive available. And then, like I mentioned too, the hail archive is when we go back that we're excited about for 2024. So yeah, it depends on how far back, but we do have a lot of archive available.
Beautiful.
Okay. So,
I can jump back to your screen.
yeah.
Sure.
Another quick demo that we're going to share too is our weather impacts demo. And with this, we're just trying to show the potential of utilizing our API and mapping solution together to show, how your facilities or locations or operations, may be impacted and the risks to them. What's real quick, what we're seeing here in the top left, again, I chose Seattle because they got some weather going on later today. But we can sort of see there's the potential for a lightning risk today. And you could look out the next 24, 48, up to 96 hours in this demo. And Seth, I think the question was, do we have historical information too? Well, this demo, we allow you to go back of several few days, but it's a unique little demo in that respect. And I did mention the potential for lightning information later today, or lightning occurring. So if we come in and select that impact, I can come in and sort of see we're utilizing multiple aspects of the Xweather API to fulfill the need to determine if there is the potential for lightning. In this case, you can sort of see we're utilizing that convective outlook. So there's storms forecast in the area. But then we can fine tune that down to a smaller radius. What does our API say the thunderstorm potential is, in a specific time range? And then as we get closer to the potential, we also have forecast lightning threats. This is where we forecast the lightning out the next hour in 10-minute intervals, very similar to our hail threats as well. And then it can take over and even fine tune this to a smaller time range for you as well. So it's a good demo just to demonstrate, hey, what are the different ways that we can integrate, all the different capabilities of our API. And just here in the center portion, you'll see that weather briefing. This sort of is the next iteration of our phrases where we can do a longer form type of briefing for you as well. That's utilizing our weather information combined with generative AI.
Yeah, that's a product that we're currently developing and testing out. So if you are interested in something like that, like longer briefings, let us know. Yeah, we're pretty excited about it to do that longer form, kind of more in-depth analysis. So yeah, if you have a use case, please.
Yeah, and then we'll here we go. So real quick too, we're going to just chat about that Phrases API demo a little bit. This is we talked about, we have those. So I'm just going to go up to Seattle again because, it's pretty quiet in Minnesota today. And if I hit submit, right now we've set it up, Seth mentioned you can have different activities. So we have this set up for just general activities at the moment. So this is like what's going on out there. I'm going to be, out, for a sporting event or something of that nature. So it can provide that information, talk about the air quality, the potential for severe weather later today. But then also if I want to go to transportation and logistics, I have that option as well. And I can hit submit and it'll go in, fetch that, utilize that same information, but it's going to convert that to natural language and it's going to be tuned for that specific industry and use case. So this could actually be going to the driver and the truck to provide him a heads up about what's going to be occurring. But, we also like to have fun too. So you'll see that you can change the personality. And one of my favorites is the shock jock. So, we can come in and submit that. And again, all right, truckers, listen up, so
Weather shenanigans. Oh, I like that.
So we're, so it's, it's just a fun way to do that communication as well. So it doesn't always have to be, tightly controlled.
Right. And some people lose interest, weather is a common thing to talk about. So if there's something really happening, we want to be able to, capture someone's attention and really get them the information they need. So this can be one of those ways.
And if you switch back real quick, I will bring up one more demo here.
All right. Weather
Is this our,
shenanigans.
the roads demo?
Yeah.
Zoom, zoom, zoom. Okay, ready?
Yep. All right. So this is another demo that we have too, because we've been talking about transportation and logistics a lot. So our API does also allow you to provide a full route. So as you're doing that route optimization and planning which way your trucks are going to go, you can provide those routes to our API and get weather information. In this case, you can get, hey, weather conditions, what's the temperatures, what's the wind speeds, but also we offer road weather over North America, Europe, Japan, Australia, New Zealand. And with that, we can get, hey, what is the surface condition going to be now? Or you have that capability to get what is the surface condition going to be at the time that the truck's going to be at that location. So you can provide that estimate. So Holly, you're sharing that link with everyone?
Already done.
All right. So that's a good swath of demos that we've been able to show how you can utilize some of our APIs and maps to help with your asset protection.
Yeah, and these are fun interactive demos, but like Lee said, all of these are powered by our data sources that are available to our customers. So this is powered by API, it's powered by raster maps, powered by MapsGL. There's a ton there for us that we can share. And then if this is giving you ideas of things that you can build as well, that's why we do these, which is super fun. So back to the kind of quick slides here. A summary, of endpoints and layers. There's a lot here. We have a ton of endpoints. There's a ton of mapping layers. This is just a lot of data sets because asset protection is important to us. And there's a lot of different use cases and things that different users come up with. So as you look at this, hopefully it gets the gears turning in your heads of, gosh, I can build that. This is something that people need. We're excited to work with you on that kind of stuff too. So please reach out to us here, ask questions, talk to support, talk to your salesperson, like all of it. We can get you moving in the right direction for a lot of this. So weather API, we typically say that's where the decisions are made. That's triggering the systems and creating the alarms. But then the mapping side, that's really telling the story. That's showing users, hey, this is what's coming. This is what's happening. If that sounds like too much, our sister development team here at Vizsla Xweather has a product specifically for all of this called Xweather Protect. This is a plug and play software solution hosted for you. You create users, log in, and create your assets. You can create different kind of buffer zones around those assets, so you can determine kind of the heads up that you're getting and the lead time. I got a little animation to show that's pretty dang cool. Here we go. This shows as you know, radar and lightning come through when those alerts fire. It's a fully managed platform. It is very cool, but it's that nice UI that does it all for you, which is kind of nice. So we're the developers and the DaaS side catering to the builders. That's for the end users as well, if you have that type of customer. So it being a Q&A session,
Here we go.
questions and answers.
So we did just get a question from Chris asking if this feature is available for iOS. I think he means the Protect software. My understanding is that that's coming soon, but not available yet. Do you guys know for sure?
Right. Yeah. With I do believe you're correct there. I think with it can be utilized on desktop. It's accessible via mobile, but they're enhancing that experience down the road.
Right. So I think they're creating possibly an application, but right now you could use it theoretically in your browser on your mobile. It's just not something that is native.
Now, outside of that, though, I'd like to, we do support, mobile SDKs as well. So we do have Android and iOS SDK. So if you want to integrate our APIs and mapping solutions, because mapping's hard. And it's one of the reasons why we want to ease that integration for you. So whether you're doing JavaScript development, iOS or Android, we do have those SDKs.
I will share the link to those SDKs. That is not for the software solution here. It's to build your own software solution. So I will share that shortly. We also had a couple of questions come in prior to this, and I just have to pull those back up. The first was actually, Seth, I know you talked a little bit earlier, maybe it was you, Lee, about the transmission lines, kind of for telecommunications. Somebody had asked about our lightning parameters for those transmission lines specifically.
Yeah, so we can definitely share the documentation to the lightning parameters because it'll list all of those out there. One thing I would highlight too is that when you start talking about transmission lines, previously I demoed the routing, and we're talking about transportation, so we're looking at roads. But our system will allow you to, have any route. So a route doesn't have to be a road. It can be, a transmission line, a fiber optic line, because we will have clients that'll utilize. They want to do network, qualifications and things like that with fiber optics and lightning detection.
Sure.
Yeah, and lightning's neat because you could query API with the routing endpoints. Otherwise, like that is a service that we offer to push with webhooks as well. So if you have like privacy concerns, you don't want to send us those lat longs, we can just define a bounding box and send that data to you with our webhooks. Otherwise, Lightning being one of our bigger products as well, we can send that with the SSH feed and actually stream that to you as well. But yeah, there's a lot of different parameters, Lightning parameters. One of the probably biggest ones being the oh gosh, it just slipped my mind. Strike damage potential. That's one where it'll actually group multiple stroke events. So lightning's kind of complicated, right? When it hits one point, it kind of goes up and down a few times. We'll actually count those because we receive those as different events. But the strike damage potential actually aggregates those over some time and makes sure that those are all grouped together and kind of comes up with an estimated damage. So if you're dealing with high-rise towers for transmission lines or whatever, you might be rated to different like amperages or impacts. That can help you determine like, did this one get absolutely smoked or was it just a little one?
And you also mentioned webhooks and how we can push lightning data to you via webhook. But a lot of the data that we've talked about today too can be pushed via webhook as well. So those lightning threats, so that's the forecast lightning, the hail threats that forecast hail information. So a lot of this can be pushed to you. Our tropical cyclone information can be pushed to you as well. fires, any of that. So that's just something to think about as well.
Yes, I will share the link to our webhooks documentation as well. Sorry, there's a lot of links today. I will also make sure that these are included in the follow-up email with the recording that you guys will get next week. Adam just asked another question that I can answer pretty quickly, and then you guys might be able to elaborate on.
Sure.
I believe Xweather can be used for weather monitoring for winter road maintenance. Say that 6 times fast. And can the program send weather reports? So yes, the tool is called WX Horizon. I will share the link here. Do you guys have any additional insight on that in terms of the alerting? Because I believe that's the entire purpose of it, is to alert municipalities essentially.
Yeah,
When
that's a full end-to-end platform that's created. It's a full product suite for winter maintenance, and that's deployed in like operation centers and things. So usually that's a product that folks use. They have a command center that's staffed like 24/7 looking at it and making sure things are getting taken care of. And that has very specific weather modeling, road modeling that take into account, treatments, untreated roads, that kind of thing. It is a really neat, comprehensive solution that folks all over the world use for winter road maintenance. And that program specifically, the weather reports and intricacies of that, we would have to ask. As far as like our data platforms from our side, we don't send weather reports ourselves just because that's different for every user, but a lot of our users will use our data in those reports. So we'll have customers that will pull data into an HTML template for an email or something and then push that out.
Yeah, and then that's also where we're looking at how can we improve that though and allow you to create those reports. So we saw an example of our upcoming briefings, which is based off the phrases that we just recently launched.
Yeah, how can we automate kind of more of that, and instead of just dumping data at someone, those briefings and phrases can be used in those for better natural language.
Beautiful. Adam, I just went ahead and also shared a case study that we recently conducted on WX Horizon with you in this chat here. I'll go ahead and hit finish answering because I think we're good there, but let us know if you have any additional questions on Horizon. We also have Road AI, which is a road asset management software, and that is a little bit different from Horizon. So a whole suite of products there. So if that's something that you're interested in, that is all on our website as well. Couple additional questions that we received prior to, couple came from Christian here. What is your source of hail threats and hail archive? And if it's only radar, what parameters do you use?
Yeah, good question. So we're actually in a really neat position in Visor Xweather here to do a lot of those hail threats because we have a global lightning network, and that's actually highly correlated to hail. So we mix that in with radar, with weather model data, and information from like the SPC. There's different inputs that we use all over to create our hail threat zone product. And then we'll mix in even more after the fact. Like I mentioned when we were talking about that analysis, that post-analysis, to come up with better, accurate, and fine-tuned archive as well.
Perfect. The follow-up question to that is on weather impacts and thresholds. So is the impact category based on your own thresholds, general thresholds by government, or similar?
Both. Yeah, we've taken into account the sort of government thresholds, but then the meteorologists on staff have helped us come up with different thresholds for those different activities. So like we showed, you can break that down by different activities. So those naturally vary in between those activities. But those are ones that we've come up with, and these are activities that we thought users would be useful or be useful to users. If you have more use cases though for us, or if you have a particular use case that is not in that list, please let us know and we can, run it by the guys and figure something like that out. Cause we're looking for more use cases for those.
Yeah. So reach out, let us know. And then we have one question from Harry. On Xweather Live, there seems to be a bit of a storm not far from San Francisco in the sea currently. Would it be possible to use the new AI endpoints and other information available with Xweather to track the storm movements and arrival towards land, for example?
Yeah, potentially you could. utilizing, the Maps.gl to visualize that. With the forecast models, we do also offer maritime, so you'll be able to get information about the waves and other parameters related to the sea in that area as well. So
This is not AI generated, but it is a tutorial that we've had for a bit on tracking storms with the API and our raster maps.
Okay. Oh, so this was a tropical cyclone. That's what
This,
you're
I don't know if it's a
Okay.
cyclone. It's
Okay.
this isn't tropical cyclones. This is storm cells specifically,
perfect.
but it focuses on raster maps. So, Harry, if you want a little homework, feel free to check this out. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, if it's a tropical cyclone in San Francisco, it's gonna go
Yeah,
away.
Yeah, it would
that
go
was not
towards
coming-
Hawaii.
That's going the other way, I
Yeah.
think. So
Awesome. Yeah. Any other questions? That was a lot of great questions
yeah,
here.
thank
Very
you.
good questions.
Yeah, and in the intermixed,
Yeah.
we're like, okay, we're gonna
Yeah.
rip through this, but that was good to have some intermixed questions too. Thank you guys.
Yeah, y'all took us right up to the mark here with at 11:45. Any other questions that come in, we can answer them now in the next few minutes, or we can also include the responses in our follow-up email. Again, that will include links to all of the resources that we've discussed today, as well as the recording for this so that you can access it later.
Time to go to the gym.
Time to go to lunch. Wait, we have different thoughts about what we're doing next.
It's past your lunchtime.
That's true.
Are you
That's true.
cranky?
Well, thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for asking questions. If you have more, like Holly said, reach out. Reach out to your salesperson, whatever. They'll connect to engineering as needed and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, please get those gears turning. Think about what you can build, and we're here to support you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.